Hello friends, welcome to Dr. Rajesh Verma's YouTube channel. I am once again in front of you with new video, and the topic of discussion of this video is cognitive development part 3. As you know, in the previous two videos I have discussed all the two parts, part 1 and part 2, introductory part of the cognition, and what the biological processes or biological tendencies of cognitive development on which the Piaget theory is based. And the third part is the most important part where we are going to discuss the four stages suggested by the Jean Piaget through the cognitive development theory. So dear friends, it's a very important for your syllabi and you can understand how you develop through your infancy from childhood to your present state of mind or present state of your health. So dear friends, now let us start the cognitive development part 3. As you all know, what cognition is, let me take 10 seconds to explain you this. All sum or it is a sum total of your intellectual processes. Your perception, attention, your memory, your thinking, your problem solving, everything comes under domain of cognition. So how these processes or these abilities develops in the child. So this is the topic of discussion of this video. Cognitive development refers to gradual progression of psychological maturation. You may be physically mature, but till that time you are not psychologically mature enough, then there is no cognitive development. There is a conceptual process, progression of conceptual process and abstraction in synchronous with your chronological age. The day you start understanding these concepts, what are the concepts? When these conceptual processes and your maturation is synchronized with your chronological age, that is you call it that is the process of the cognitive development. It's a kind of modification in intellectual ability that leads to formation of concepts. See, your intellectual ability gets modified, changed with your gradually with your age progression, and you are learning from the change in the environment. Due to that, your intellectual ability gradually and continuously modifies. By virtue of that modification of this intellectual ability, new concepts forms. But how we can definitely say that the cognitive development process is on its or it is taking place when child starts manifesting or showing various different complex concepts through behavior or through discussion or talk or activities, then we can clearly make out that the cognitive development process is on, and this process is simultaneous or in synchronous with your brain development. The moment the brain develops, similar case with your cognitive development. When the brain is developing, it also improves the cognitive development process. So, dear friends, let us move. Swiss psychologist, as I discussed earlier, Jean Piaget suggested four stages of cognitive development. According to him, the early cognitive development involves processes based upon actions and later progresses to changes in mental operations. This see earlier the cognitive development in the infants and early childhood that take place with the uh, aid of actions and activities, but it progresses gradually and changes modifies mental operations or mental structures, which he calls or Jean Piaget called as schematas. So it occurs four stages: sensory motor stage 0 to 2 years, that is infancy; pre-operational stage 2 to 7 years, it is almost you call it the early or middle childhood; concrete operational stage 7 to 11 years, it is late childhood; and finally formal operational stage 12 years and above the above. Dear friends, it is your entry into the adolescence. So let us start. Sensory motor stage, it is 0 to 2 years or up to 24 months. See, it is not a fix that it will remain up to 2 years. Dear friends, it can vary. It is arbitrary division of stages. During this stage, that is during infancy stage, infant explore and experience the world by coordinating sensory experiences with physical actions. This means the sensory information the child is getting from the internal as well as external environment that are coordinated with the physical action. In other words, infant gain knowledge through their senses and motor movements. Maximum the knowledge gained by the infant is through what activities she is doing or what information she is getting, the information feed is she is getting from from her senses. See, intentional actions, the actions which are done with voluntarily, coordination of senses, object permanence is not established. In the next stage, when the object permanence is established, I'll explain you what object permanence is. And demonstration of intelligence by motor activity. See, you make it one point here to learn and understand this concept, that is sensory motor stage. Dear friends, it is a stage of 0 to 2 years, so it is infancy stage. And as you well know, during infancy, child is fully wholly dependent upon the parents. So that learning or the modification of the intellectual ability or everything comes from the action what child does and sensory information. These are the two things. And these all activities, how this child demonstrate these activities during sensory motor stage through the motor activity only. If she wants to say something, it's very difficult to speak, but through the motor activity, the child can make you understand. So sensory motor means senses and motor, coordination of these two things. So you can remember like this. So second stage is pre-operation stage, 2 to 7 years. You can see a small child just following her mother. Her mother is might be picking some fruits. I can make out from the images that they may be blueberry or jamun. So she is also trying. She is in the stage of pre-operational stage. What she does is symbolic thought develops. Object permanence is established. Here comes that object permanence. It's a very interesting phenomena. If suppose the child is less than 2 years or in a sensory motor stage, and you put a toy or any object in front of her, and she starts playing with that. Uh, After that, you just cover that object. In that case, yeah, just I'm talking about sensory motor stage. In that, when the child is in this sensory motor stage, the child feels that object has there is no object here, disappeared. Object has disappeared, but still object is there, but you covered with your hand or some cloth or some cardboard. But this concept, object permanence, it is fully established in 2 to 7 years. If you do the same activity during this stage, child understand that you have covered the object. Maybe object is behind that cover. That is known as object permanence. The child cannot coordinate different physical attributes and objects. See, there is a different physical attribute. You call it something, you take it as a laptop or computer, mobile phone. See, there are various attributes, various characteristics or names of these items. So it is very difficult for the child to coordinate these physical attributes. Intelligence is demonstrated through the use of symbols. Symbols are used to demonstrate that the intelligence is being developed, is gradually developing. Language use matures. Start speaking meaningful words and everything else. And memory and imagination are developed. But thinking is done in a non-logical, non-reversible manner. There is no logic in the thinking. Egocentric thinking predominates. What egocentric is? There is a very simple and common example given is when you're walking with your child and you observe that various times in the evening or some beautiful night when the sky is clear and stars are shining and there's a moon, full moon day or something. The child says, "See, Papa or Mom, the moon is moving along with me. When I stop, the moon stops, or when I start walking, moon also starts moving with me." So this is the egocentric thinking. Means everything is own according to me only. That is egocentric thinking. And in this stage, very interesting thing, pretending occurs more often. And style forms magical beliefs. And primitive reasoning uses. These are all the attributes of this pre-operational stage. You can deeply refer various books and all, because here you can just understand what the meaning of pre-operational stage means. Before operations takes place, well, I'll let you know what operations are in the next stage. Before that, what happens? That is pre-operational stage. Transitive inference, concept reversibility is yet to develop. See, these two things I'll explain here. What is transitive inference? Transitive inference means, suppose, I'll take a very common example, that Sujal is taller than Veronica. Veronica is taller than Lavanya. There is an inference from here. This means Sujal is taller than Lavanya. This is transitive inference. But child has not yet developed this ability. Child will ask how Sujal is taller than Lavanya. That Veronica will ask, if Veronica is being in this stage, then she will certainly ask how Sujal is taller than me and I am taller than Lavanya. Then how Sujal is taller than Lavanya? How it can be? So that question, how, demonstrate that child is in pre-operation stage or transitive inference has not yet developed. Second is concept irreversibility. Very simple example. You say 2 multiplied by 8, or yes, you say 8 multiplied by 2 is equal to 16. But if you say, if you divide 16 by 2, answer will be 8. See, that is irreversible. See, very crude example I am giving. So it is not yet developed in the child during pre-operational stage. There is 2 to 7 years. The third is concrete operational stage. As I was discussing, now operations means your mental operations, your cognitive operations. That was pre-operation stage. Now these operations become more mature and they are more concrete now. They are just one step uh, previous to the abstract. So concrete is a very important stage where child can reason logically. Now the reasoning and thinking, which was earlier illogical, now it become logical. Classify objects into different sets and able to perform reversible mental operations on representation of objects. See, here the child is now capable enough to do mental operations reversible also. The thought process matures. Problem related to concrete events solved in logical way. Egocentrism eliminated. Now, moon doesn't move with the child. Uses inductive logic, etc. These are the parts and characteristics of the concrete operational stage, that is 7 to 11 years. Dear friends, it is the next is formal operational stage, 12 years and above. The adolescent can apply logic more abstractly. Now, see, from concrete operational stage to formal operational stage, there is one basic difference. You must remember that and you must know that. If you remember that point, you can differentiate between all stages very easily. Abstraction. Now, abstraction has improved or developed in the formal operational stage in the child. Hypothetical thinking which is beyond is the your immediate environment or your immediate actions. This also develops. What can happen and how it can happen? Use of hypothetical deductive reasoning. Abstract thought emerges. Metacognition means thinking about own thoughts. Systematic and methodological hypothetical thinking means, see here, hypothetical word we use. Deductive reasoning means if there are three things, you can deduce and one object from that. That is known as hypothetical deductive reasoning. So these all activities occurs during the formal operational stage, that is 12 years and above. During this stage, child enters into a very important stage as known by G. Stanley Hall, that is stage of stress and storm. So that is known as adolescence. In this adolescence, there is an emotional rush, hormonal rush in the child. This means here and the cognitive development is at its topmost stage where abstraction improves drastically. Problem solving is become very easy and systematic. How to solve a problem to meet the challenges of life also improves methodologically. Means the thinking also methodological. So these points are all under the formal operational stage. Dear friends, these are my references. You can always cross check them. And our next lecture or video will be characteristics of adolescents. And then this is very important also, and you will enjoy this video, that is characteristics of adolescents. I hope you enjoyed my video. Thanks, dear friends. We'll be meeting you soon. And if you have any doubt or any query or any comment or that may be critical or suggestive, you can be or appreciative. You can write in the comment box, as well as you can email me at varmasujit@yahoo.com. One thing, dear friends, if you like this video, share with your friends this content. If you don't like it or dislike some content of it, share with me. I'll be very happy to accept your comments and improve in the next video. Till the time, thank you from Dil se.